Jacob lived in a world painted in grey, moving through the city like a ghost, present but unseen. He was surrounded by people, yet profoundly alone, convinced that if he vanished, no one would notice. The weight of invisibility pressed down on him, making every day feel like a repeat of the last. In his small apartment, the silence was deafening, amplifying the emptiness inside. He watched families and friends outside, their lives full of connection, a language he no longer understood. Jacob felt erased, a forgotten character in a story everyone else was still writing. He wore a mask of normalcy, hiding the hollowness in his eyes and the silent plea behind his greetings. No one saw the tremor in his hands or heard the ache in his heart. He became an expert at pretending to be fine, terrified to reveal the chasm within. So he walked among them, a man made of shadows, carrying a burden no one else could see. Jacob's battles raged in the quietest corners of his life, especially at night when his thoughts were loudest. He replayed every mistake and broken relationship, the past accusing him, the future offering no comfort. His suffering was a silent scream, unheard by anyone but himself. Sometimes he tried to reach out, typing messages he never sent, deleting them in fear of being a burden. Each failed attempt deepened his isolation, convincing him he was truly alone. The thought of giving up whispered to him, promising peace from the relentless weight. He filled the void with distractions, aimless walks, endless TV, eating just to feel something, but the quiet always returned, bringing despair with it. His reflection became that of a stranger, haunted and fading. He was losing the fight and he knew it. One afternoon, while sorting his late grandmother's things, Jacob found an old bookmark in a dusty book of poems. On it, in her handwriting, was a line from Matthew: "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He read it again and again. The words felt like an invitation, not a command. For the first time he felt seen in his brokenness, as if a hand was reaching out from beyond his pain. A tiny crack appeared in his despair, letting in a sliver of light. He sat on the floor, holding the bookmark, a single tear falling, not of hopelessness, but fragile relief. The promise of rest was like water to a parched soul. Could there be a place for the weary for him? He didn't feel healed, but something inside shifted, a seed of hope planted. The whisper of that invitation lingered, a quiet melody beneath his anxiety. The next morning, Jacob opened the blinds for the first time in months, letting sunlight flood his room. It was a small act, but a choice to let the world in. He made his bed, washed dishes, tiny rebellions against the chaos. Emboldened, he called Samuel, an old church acquaintance, and simply said, "I haven't been doing well. Could we get coffee?" Samuel's immediate, warm response was a balm to Jacob's heart. Their meeting wasn't a dramatic confession, just a quiet conversation where Jacob shared his loneliness. Samuel listened, sharing his own struggles, making Jacob feel less alone. From there, Jacob joined a small men's group, first just listening, then sharing a little. He learned others carried burdens too: doubt, fear, failure, but also hope and faith. He realized he wasn't on an island, but in a harbor with others battered by storms. Jacob was beginning to find his way. As weeks passed, the light inside Jacob grew brighter. Though the journey wasn't a straight line, he had tools, friends, and the memory of that gentle invitation to rest. Volunteering at a soup kitchen, he saw the same loneliness in others' eyes that he once saw in his own. He offered not advice but presence, a listening ear and shared humanity. His pain became a bridge, connecting him to others still lost in the fog. People began to seek him out, a young man struggling with addiction, a grieving widow. Jacob didn't have all the answers, but he could point them toward hope. He shared his story, the bookmark, the first call, the slow return of light. He became a lighthouse, not because he was perfect, but because he survived the storm. His scars became a source of compassion and quiet strength. The emptiness was now filled with purpose, and the blinds in his apartment stayed open. Maybe you're in a place that feels grey, invisible, and unbearably heavy. You're seen. There is a God who calls you beloved, who sees your silent tears and hears your unspoken prayers. Your pain is real, but it's not a sign of weakness. It means you've been fighting. Don't believe the lie that you're a burden or that your story is over. There's a hand reaching for you in the darkness, offering rest for your soul. You matter. Your life has purpose, even if you can't see it yet. Your wounds may one day become someone else's healing. God redeems our pain, turning valleys into platforms for hope. So hold on. Open the blinds, make a call, read a sentence of hope. Take one small step toward the light. You don't have to be strong or have all the answers. You just have to be willing. You are loved, valued, and you are not alone.